one of the best things about this whole deal, before we go into detail about my personal platform and everything that I represent, is the fact that we're all going to be in this together. You're taking the time to make a choice between people that are from the department. That's one of the best things that I can see about this whole campaign. And the opportunity for the union and for all of us in the department to be able to make that kind of a choice now for the first time in over 30 years, being able to choose somebody from within, whether it's myself or any of my suffice it to say that being from the department, the experiences I've had in the different divisions, units, jails, places that I've worked over the years, I've gotten a really big picture of who we are, what we do, and what we're capable of doing. And that's what I really want to bring to the office of sheriff. I think, though, that our department is in a really good position to work within the limited resources that we have. I think that during times when you have limited funding for things, you have to take the opportunity to be aggressive and seize opportunities to expand and to grow in these kind of times in order to become a stronger department. And if we become a stronger department, that means all of us become stronger. The associations that are part of the department become stronger. People within the department. What you're going to get from me as a candidate, because I want to speak to what you really said, Wayne, which is, hey, is this going to be for real? Is this a pipe dream, or is this something that we can really put ourselves behind? And I think I can guarantee you, whoever it's going to be, in terms of who you guys choose, it doesn't matter if it's a pipe dream, if you believe in what we're doing and what we're going for here, which is what we've talked about having someone from within. I think that's what really matters. And you got 100% from me in terms of being a candidate, in terms of being out there every night. You can probably speak to the details of the grunt work, of the grind, of the boots on the ground kind of things that candidates are expected to do in order to get out there, in order to get the votes. And I've committed myself, my family has committed to the endeavor. I really believe in this department. I really believe in the integrity of the people that we have working with us. I really believe in what we do, what we're about. And I think, if anything, I'm going to be out there every day campaigning.
I want to know what your stance was on the
It's a complex issue. I'm glad you brought it up. I know you worked over at intake, so this is going to directly affect you on your day-to-day stuff, because the current policy we have in place right now in regards to citing people out, even though they may have a nice detainer, that's something that's pretty contentious to a lot of us in this job, and I understand that completely. It's a very complex issue. In regards to this issue, it goes beyond just that kind of leadership. It's something that you have to make an inclusive decision on. And I think we're taking the right steps to do that. I think every level of the government, not just municipalities, not just the state, when they're dealing with the Trust Act right now through the Safety Committee, the federal government also has to be involved in that. And I think what happened with this issue is that the federal government, with secure communities, made a decision and didn't really have the input of the local jurisdictions. So they made a decision which had an adverse effect on us. I think as sheriff, you also have to include everybody in that kind of a decision-making process and make sure all of our partners in the criminal justice system are on board with that before you make a decision. Right now, though, as it stands, from my personal stance, obviously we're going to follow the sheriff's directives because we've been guided to do so. And I think that, as the supervisor said, the holding pattern that's kind of getting put in place by different states right now is going to garner a larger discussion on the issue, which is probably going to give us a better answer, a more inclusive answer with everybody involved.
I was curious to find out what's your stance on the states mandating parolees to come back to the county.
Doug, if you could clarify on the issue itself. Are you talking about the reintroduction of the inmates into our system?
Yes.
Or are you talking about the reintroduction into our community?
Into our system first and into our community.
It's a huge issue for all of us as a department, and I know at the management level we've been talking about this for a number of months because we are anticipating an influx of prisoners coming from the state system into our system, both not just the practical inmates in our custody kind of thing, which we are prepared for, absolutely, but also the reintegration of these guys back into the communities. You have to understand also as part of this, and this is a layman's kind of discussion of it from my perspective, there's also going to be changes to the parole system, which means there's going to be less supervision of individuals that go back out into our communities. I think our department, with what we have in place right now, is in an excellent position to deal with this problem that's going to be facing city and county. We already have programs in place in terms of reentry and reintegration and getting guys back into the society. It's going to provide an expansion, which we just talked about earlier, an expansion of our department in terms of its responsibilities, working in partnership with probation, county probation, parole, the other components of the criminal justice system to actually have to absorb these. The funding stream, as John mentioned, it's up in the air. When it was going through at the state level, they were talking about attaching funding streams for it, and then at the last minute, all of a sudden there's no funding stream. So that is of a concern. However, in my limited political view, I believe that gives some strength to the fact for our department to be involved in this process, because the community is going to have to dedicate resources and funding, because people are going to be coming back into our system, because historically we've always funded and given money for these kind of things, and we already have the system in place. So our department is in a good position to deal with this. Absolutely. We've been in highs and lows throughout my career, and obviously you want to create positive work environments. One of the big things that I would advocate for as a sheriff is to place us in the community more, get out there more as a department and represent the department in a positive light out in the community. Get more involved in, there's a lot of, when we say CBO, we're talking about community-based organizations, and that refers to everybody out there in the community. We already work with a lot of groups, you know, in terms of our profession, in terms of the reentry that we've been talking about, in terms of the programs that we provide. We have a lot of community groups that work with us already. I'd like to see us get out into those communities, get out into the communities of San Francisco, and present the department in a positive way.
So my question is to you, what are your plans? What is your philosophical, your ideology about what's going to take us from where we were and to where we need to be?
We have to build on the model we already have. We have a history of working with the police department in a number of different areas. We have a history of being able to effectively absorb other agencies into our fold and provide a product for the community to provide public safety. IP is a perfect example of that. When we went through years of planning before we got that, but we have that experience of doing that. There are a lot of opportunities for this department to expand without stepping on people's toes. I think you mentioned stepping on toes earlier. There's a lot of opportunities for us to expand without stepping on people's toes. And what you have to do is look at it and look at expansion in that manner. Because if we do that, if we reach out and we grab additional public safety interests to expand our department, which we're in a very good position to do right now with just what we have, from there you build a foundation. And from there you build the foundation to reach out and to take on more additional responsibilities. No matter what our answers are going to be to this question, I think every one of us is willing to take that step forward to get more for this department, to present more opportunities for deputies to get out there and do more things. Because with that comes the growth. It comes the growth for each deputy because of the experience level that they're going to garner. You know, I mean, we have the infrastructure in place to get this done. You can't just say we're going to go out and put all of us on the street. We all went to the same academy. We actually have more training because we've all gone through the core course. So we have additional training on top of the post-training that we have. You have to talk about things like the FTO program, about training out there in the street, about getting people out there trained, not just putting people out there. And we have the infrastructure to do that as well.
At this point in our life, we need strong leadership. And I just like to ask each of you individually, I've been around here almost 2 decades. What can you tell me to make me believe that you have the skills, the background, the experience to lead a department like ours?
One thing I didn't want to discuss, and I'm going to expand on something he said, over 1,000. We're not just talking about sworn staff when we're talking about that 1,000. We're talking about civilian staff also. One thing that was mentioned to me in my career, safety first, last, always. Okay? The key for all of us, and we all know it because it's ingrained in us, it's a part of us, it's a part of who we are, is that the bottom line is to maintain safety at all times, to be safe and secure. Okay? It's part of our job, it's part of every component, whether we're inside or outside. That's what we're about. How do you build on that? It's very important to be supportive in terms of training, in terms of equipment, in terms of the logistical infrastructure that's in place, in terms of the management and the leadership, not just staying status quo, as he stated, but moving forward, doing the expansion thing that we talked about. I don't have to speak to anybody about my resume in the department. Most of you are familiar. You can always go to the website to see a detailed listing of everything. But it goes beyond just that. It doesn't matter that I've been a part of the department, a part of that whole concept, a part of our philosophy all these years. It goes beyond that. This is a elected position. When you mention duality, one of the things about the sheriff, the office of the sheriff, it's an elected position which requires you to be a peace officer, which requires you to have that level of training and experience to be the sheriff. And that's very important. That's something we can't move away from. All of us here are qualified for that. The next step now is try to determine who can come into this department and have a knowledge of the department to be able to lead it effectively, to utilize all the resources and all of the potential that we have as a department, not just as individuals, but what we have collectively as a department. And I think I'm in a very good position to do that. I think that it's a good question because you want experience. I think we all bring different levels of experience and different types of experience, which are all beneficial to the department as a whole when you're the sheriff. And I feel that I've had the experiences in every division and a number of units. My emphasis has always been training no matter what unit I'm in. Whether I was in the training unit for 5 years, or whether I'm a facility commander, whether I'm a lieutenant on operations, whether I'm a senior deputy on the line on a swing shift. The emphasis has always been training. That's when you build the foundation, just for the everyday, boots on the ground kind of work that we do. And with that comes a lot of the other things. We have a unique opportunity now to make a decision, to have an impact on the decision in who's going to be the next sheriff. And I would tell them, obviously I want them to vote for me, but I think they should vote with their heart. They should make this decision based on everything, all the information. It should be inclusive. They should have all the information. It shouldn't be based on emotion. It shouldn't be based on personality. Okay? It should be based on who's the best person for this job. That's step one. Step two goes beyond the vote. This is a vote for endorsement. You're going to be going to the membership saying, hey, this is our chance to make our voice be heard. This is who the DSA is going to endorse in this campaign process. It goes beyond that, though. Once you make your decision as an organization on who to endorse, you really have to put your money where your mouth is and put the support behind whoever the candidate is. Because in all the places I've gone and all the people I've spoken to, in all of the outreach I've done regarding this campaign, one of the very first questions I get asked, and it's very encouraging that I'm not getting asked as much about the sheriff's department because the word is out about our department, just because of this election. But what I get asked a lot is, hey, by the power brokers, by the people that are important, that you have to get the endorsements and the money from, they say, who is the DSA endorsing? They want to know who the membership is going to endorse in this race before they put their backing, before they put their machine and resources behind that person. So that's how much clout you have as an agent, as an organization, as an association. And I think you should really take that to heart. Know that your decision, whatever it is, has weight and impact in city politics now. And that speaks to the growth of the organization. That speaks to who we are as a department and the decision you guys are all going to be making. Remember that, and remember also with that decision comes the responsibility of getting out there and putting the money where the mouth is and showing that this organization is strong and putting your backing behind whoever it is and getting out there, helping out with the campaign, helping out with whatever you can. I know that we have a large number of people that are not voters in the city and county, so your vote can't be heard, but your influence can be heard. And if you have family, friends, associates, co-workers, everybody that we work with in the criminal justice system, everyone we work with in the community, whatever degree of contact you have, those people should be outreached and they should know who the DSA endorses. They should know who the membership wants to be their sheriff. And in translation, the sheriff of the city and county. So just tell everyone to vote with their heart. And once that decision is made, to put the 110% behind it to get this done and to get us a really good sheriff for this city and for ourselves.